Progressive Era Part 2. After you watch the screencast, you should go through the slideshow again to reread and watch the videos. The key term we're going to talk about today is acting in the public interest. This means acting for the common good of the community and acting for the well-being or welfare of the general public or society. Progressive era reformers and lawmakers wanted to solve problems and create policies which would help as many Americans as possible for the benefit of all. So as we go through this hyperdoc, the inquiry questions to consider are: 1. Did the progressive era improve the lives of Americans living at the time? And 2. What does it mean to act in the public interest? The first reform we're going to look at is the Pure Food and Drug Act and the Meat Inspection Act. Because of the laissez-faire or hands-off, no laws and regulations of the Gilded Age, there were no laws regulating food or drug companies. So without ingredient labels or any other kinds of laws, people could get very sick from contaminated food and dangerous medicine. The Sherman Antitrust Act went after monopolies, and monopolies do not benefit the consumer. They are anti-competitive, they go against free enterprise, and they're considered incompatible with capitalism, our economic system. In the case of these two reforms, they have to balance the right of businesses against the rights of the public. The Pendleton Civil Service Act was intended to prevent political corruption in terms of the spoils system. So you cannot give jobs to your friends or your relatives. It established a merit system for government jobs. You have to actually be qualified for a government job. 3 more important reforms are the initiative, the recall, and the referendum. Initiative is the ability of citizens to propose new laws through petitions. And this works specifically at the state and local level. Most states in the United States have a law like this. And they also have laws for recall, the ability of citizens to vote an elected official out of office if they don't like the job they're doing. And this does not apply to things that are impeachable. And referendum is the ability of citizens to vote yes or no on laws proposed by state or local governments. And all 3 of these state-level reforms give more power to voters and move government from a more representative to a more direct democracy. And you'll learn more about this term, direct democracy, in high school. And again, be sure to click on all the links in the slides and watch the videos when you go through this a second time on your own. 2 additional reforms are the 17th Amendment, which was for the direct election of senators, and the 19th Amendment, women's suffrage. So prior to the 17th Amendment, as the Constitution was originally written, state legislatures had the final say in senatorial elections, no matter what the popular vote said. And of course, you're familiar with the fact that women were unable to vote before the 19th Amendment. All of these reforms taken together, from the Pendleton Civil Service Act all the way to the 19th Amendment, were designed to prevent political corruption and make the United States more democratic, putting more power in the hands of citizens who were eligible to vote. Direct democracy. 2 final reforms are the 16th Amendment and the often forgotten 18th Amendment. The 16th Amendment is the one we love to hate, income tax. And the 18th Amendment is the one that didn't work out so much, the prohibition of alcohol. So the 16th Amendment on income tax at the time only taxed the top 1% richest Americans to pay for such things like the new USDA and FDA meat and drug inspectors, the new Navy that the US wanted at the time, and other similar things. And the 18th Amendment banning alcohol was said to be a moral necessity to prevent social ills such as alcoholism, abuse, and other things like that. So go through this again on your own, click on the links, read whatever article or video is posted, review this, and then check your understanding with the Schoology quiz.